When life hits, it rarely sends a warning. It doesn't knock, it breaks down the door. And in that moment when the storm is at its loudest, you have one decision to make. Do I collapse or do I rise? The answer doesn't lie outside you. It's not in your circumstances, it's in your mindset. And until you master that inner game, no external change will ever last. When everything around you feels like it's falling apart, you must become the one thing that holds, your mind. The battlefield is not the economy, it's not the relationship, it's not the betrayal. The battlefield is between your ears. If you can control your thoughts, you can command your destiny. Don't wait to feel positive, choose it. Decide, no matter what comes, I will not break. That decision alone separates the strong from the weak. Positivity is not smiling while drowning. It's the steel resolve to swim harder. It is the fire in your chest that says, I will not go down like this. Shift your attention from what hurts to what drives you. Pain only controls you when it becomes your focus, but pain turns into power when you attach it to a purpose. Say to yourself, I will use this. I will not waste this suffering. I will make something out of this hell. That is how warriors are made, not in comfort, but in chaos. Your environment either feeds your fight or starves it. Eliminate the voices that make you doubt your strength. Walk away from conversations that feed your fear. Surround yourself with fire, people who believe, people who act, people who push. Your circle must match your future, not your past. When you feel paralyzed, when the weight is too much, move. Don't wait for motivation, it won't come. Movement creates emotion. Progress generates hope. Get up, take one step, make one call, break one cycle. That is how you rewire your state. You act your way into strength. And as you move, speak life, or speak victory over your future. Say, this is not the end for me. Words are commands to the subconscious. Declare what you want, even when you don't feel it. Speak strength. Speak perseverance. Speak breakthroughs. Life obeys the voice of certainty. Every setback is a signal. Not a signal to stop, but a signal to grow, to adapt, to climb higher. Obstacles are not your enemy, they are your invitation. The pressure you feel is not punishment, it is preparation. It's life asking you, are you ready for the next level? Answer it with grit. And above all, burn the option to quit. Destroy the exit door in your mind. The only way is forward. As long as quitting is still an option, weakness has a home in you. When you eliminate retreat, you unlock true power. Positivity does not come from comfort. It comes from conviction. This is how you stay positive when life gets tough. You build a fortress in your mind. You choose strength over self-pity. You move when you feel stuck. You speak life when it feels like death. You take every blow, every loss, and every tear, and you use them as bricks to build your comeback. You don't wait for life to get easier. You get stronger. You stop begging for lighter burdens, and you develop a stronger back. Life will test you. But if you can hold your focus, protect your belief, and move with purpose, nothing can break you. Because those who refuse to quit are the ones who eventually win. And no matter what comes, you will win. Control your inner dialogue. Because nothing has more power over your future than the voice that lives inside your own head. When life gets dark, when everything seems stacked against you, when the losses pile up and the doubts creep in, the first war is not fought in your bank account or in your relationships. It's fought in your thoughts. And if you don't dominate that internal conversation, it will dominate you. That voice will tell you to quit. It will whisper, you're not good enough. You'll never make it. It's too late. Why bother? That voice, if left unchecked, will destroy every dream you've ever had before the world even gets a chance to say no. But here's the truth most people run from. That voice is not the enemy. It's the test. It's the gatekeeper. It's the storm you must walk through before you earn the calm. And the way you handle that voice, the way you respond when your own mind turns against you, that is what separates the weak from the powerful. You must rise above the noise and declare, I run this mind. I control what stays and what goes. I decide what is possible. Because the moment you surrender control of your thoughts, you hand over the keys to your future. Life will always try to shake you. The storms are guaranteed. The betrayal, the loss, the unexpected disaster. That's part of the process. But your ability to stand tall when everything inside you wants to shrink, that's the trait of a winner. Champions are not made by circumstances. They are forged in moments of silence when no one is watching, and they choose to speak life over themselves instead of death. They choose to say, "This will not break me. I will come back stronger. I am built for this." You can't allow your mind to be a playground for fear. You have to make it a battlefield of focus, strength, and relentless clarity. You've got to catch those weak thoughts the moment they rise, and you've got to replace them instantly. Don't entertain weakness. Don't give it oxygen. When fear says, "You can't," answer with, "Watch me." When doubt says, "It's too hard," answer with, "Then I'm on the right path." Every time you override a negative thought with a stronger one, you are rewiring your future. The problem is most people wait until the pain arrives to begin practicing mental discipline. But by then it's too late. You don't build the armor in the battle. You build it before. You train your mind daily like your life depends on it, because it does. You feed it truth. You speak power into it. You prepare it for war, even in times of peace. So when life blindsides you, you don't crumble, you respond. You say, "This is not the end. This is just the next chapter of my story, and I decide how it's written." Staying positive in hard times is not pretending things are okay. It's not faking a smile while you suffer. It's choosing to believe that the struggle has meaning. It's choosing to fight even when there's no applause. It's refusing to let circumstances rewrite who you are. Because here's the reality. You were not built to collapse. You were built to conquer. And every time you take control of your mind, you're building a stronger version of yourself, one who cannot be shaken by life's chaos. The voice inside you must become your strongest ally. It must sound like certainty. It must sound like power. It must remind you of who you are when the world tries to make you forget. You have to train that voice to speak with authority. You've got to teach it how to push you when you're tired, how to fire you up when you're doubting, how to stand up for you when nobody else will. That is not optional. That is survival. You're going to face moments where quitting looks easier than continuing, and in those moments your thoughts will either be your prison or your passport. The ones who make it, truly make it, are not the most gifted, not the luckiest, not even the most connected. They're the ones who've trained their minds to keep going when it makes no sense. They've locked in a decision that says, "I will keep moving no matter how dark it gets. I will keep believing even if the world calls me crazy. I will keep rising because I refuse to be ordinary." There's no power stronger than the human spirit fully awakened, fully focused, and fully armed with a belief that cannot be shaken. So if you want to stay positive when life gets tough, don't wait for life to be kind. Don't wait for support, applause, or perfect timing. Go within. Silence the noise. Master your inner world. And when that voice tries to pull you down again, stand tall and respond with the power of a person who knows exactly who they are and where they're going. Because once your mind is unshakable, the world becomes unstoppable. Decide that you will endure, not hope, not wish, decide. Because until that decision is made in your soul, life will keep testing your softness. It will keep asking, "How bad do you want it?" And the moment it senses hesitation, it will knock you down again. But when you make that decision, when you carve it into your mind like stone, life feels that shift. It knows it can push you, but it can't break you. It knows it can delay you, but it can't deny you. The decision to endure is the separation point between people who dream and people who achieve. It is the moment you stop entertaining the thought of surrender and begin walking like a person who refuses to be defeated. The truth is, most people don't lose because of their challenges. They lose because of their indecision. They flirt with commitment. They say, "I'll try," but trying is a word reserved for those who want a back door. If you give yourself a way out, you'll take it. If you keep the option of quitting on the table, one day when the pain feels too strong, you will reach for it. But if you eliminate the option to quit, if you decide right now that you will stand, you will fight, you will adapt, you will suffer if you must, but you will not fall, then nothing can stop you. To endure does not mean to survive. It means to move forward in spite of it all. It means you don't let the weight of the situation bury you. You carry it. You grow stronger beneath it. You develop a will that cannot be taught in comfort. Anyone can be positive when things go right. Anyone can be enthusiastic when results are pouring in. But only the rare ones, only the truly dangerous ones, can stay steady when everything is crumbling. Only the powerful can look at chaos and say, this is where I rise. This is where I build a new version of myself. And endurance is not inherited. It's built. It's built in pain, it's built in rejection, it's built in lonely nights and early mornings. It's built when no one claps, no one watches, no one cares, but you keep going. You keep building, you keep believing. That's when endurance forms its roots. And when life comes again to test you, those roots hold. That's when people ask, how do you keep going? And you smile because they weren't there when you made the decision. They didn't see the silent promise you made to yourself when you had nothing left but breath in your lungs and fire in your heart. You can't fake endurance. You can't talk your way into it. It's proven. It's tested. It's forged in pressure. And every moment you refuse to fold, you reinforce the power within you. Every minute you outlast your fear, your body and mind become allies instead of enemies. That's the real shift. When your emotions want to run and your body wants to quit, but your mind says no. It says, I've already decided, we finish this. That's where everything changes. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to know how long the tunnel is or where the next break will come. You just need one thing, endurance, that internal fire that says, I'll go one more round, I'll take one more hit, I'll get up one more time. Not because it's easy, not because you feel strong, but because you said you would. And your word to yourself means more than the pain you're feeling. That's how leaders are born, not by luck, not by applause, but by relentless follow-through when it hurts the most. And that decision to endure must be made daily. You don't make it once and coast. You wake up every single day and decide again. You remind yourself why you started. You reconnect with the vision. You put your feet on the floor and say, let's go. Even when your heart is heavy, even when your mind is foggy, even when your soul feels tired, you go anyway. Because consistency under pressure is what turns average into greatness. It's what builds empires from ruins. It's what takes a name and turns it into a legacy. Life will challenge you to prove how serious you are. It will strip away your comfort. It will delay your progress. It will push you until you want to give up. But endurance, real endurance, is not just surviving that pain, it's thriving in it. It's saying, I will find strength here. I will find discipline here. I will become someone unrecognizable to the person I used to be. That's what pressure is for. It's not to destroy you, it's to refine you. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have a perfect plan. You just need to make the one decision that most people avoid, to endure, to take every hit and keep moving, to face every doubt and still believe, to fall 100 times and rise 101. That is how you win. That is how you change your life. And once you decide that quitting is off the table, your spirit becomes bulletproof. Your mind becomes a weapon. And nothing the world throws at you can stop you from becoming exactly who you were meant to be. Shift your focus from pain to purpose. Because the pain is loud, yes, but your purpose must speak louder. The pain is real, but your reason must be stronger. If you stare at the wound long enough, you'll start to believe that bleeding is your identity. You'll start to believe that suffering is permanent. But it isn't. Pain is a visitor. Purpose is who you are. As long as you feed the pain, it will grow. It will take root. It will blind you to the very thing that could lift you out of the darkness. And that thing is your mission. The moment you shift your gaze from what hurts to what drives you, you take back your power. Because pain can only control a mind that has forgotten why it was built to endure in the first place. Your purpose is not found in comfort. It is born in adversity. It is forged in fire. Purpose rises when everything else falls apart. That's what gives it strength. That's what gives it value. You see, pain without purpose is suffering. But pain with purpose becomes fuel. It becomes a forge that sharpens your will and makes you unbreakable. The people who rise, truly rise, are the ones who learn to turn wounds into weapons. They don't run from the pain, they face it. They look it dead in the eye and say, I will not waste you. I will not let you take me down. I will make you serve me. You weren't meant to drown in struggle. You were meant to rise through it. But that will never happen if all you do is stare at what broke you. You've got to redirect your vision, shift it to what matters. Shift it to the calling that burns in your soul. Your purpose is still alive, even if your motivation is buried under pain. It's still there, still beating, still waiting for you to wake it up. But it cannot speak to you when your mind is chained to misery. You've got to break that chain. You've got to say, enough. I know I'm hurting, but I'm not staying here. I've got something greater to become. Every person who has achieved greatness has walked through hell. That's not a coincidence. That's a requirement. You think the fire is here to destroy you. It's not. It's here to shape you. It's here to strip away the lies and excuses, to reveal the version of you that's been hiding under the weight of fear and self-pity. The fire exposes who you really are. It shows you what you're made of. And if you can stop obsessing over the pain, you'll see what it's trying to give you. You'll realize it's not your enemy. It's your mirror purpose. Does not erase pain, but it gives it direction. When you align your mind with a higher reason, the pain becomes part of the process, not the prison. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And you start declaring, this is happening for me. You begin to find meaning in the suffering. You begin to see how your scars can become someone else's strength. That's how you take control. That's how you rise. When you decide to give your pain a job to do, it stops holding you hostage. You don't escape pain by avoiding it. You escape it by using it, by extracting the lesson, by pulling out the fire that's buried inside the ashes of your breakdown. That's where the power is. Not in pretending it doesn't hurt, not in burying it, but in rising in spite of it, in letting it shape you into something fierce, something focused, something built for more. And every time you feel it again, instead of collapsing, you remind yourself, I've got something bigger to fight for, something that matters more than this moment. And that shift, that mental pivot from victim to victor, that's the turning point. That's when momentum begins. That's when healing becomes transformation. Because now you're not just surviving, you're creating. You're stepping forward with a fire that pain alone could never give you. You are driven, you are intentional, you are no longer bound by what happened. You are aligned with where you're going. Your purpose will demand more from you than your pain ever could. It will stretch you, it will challenge you, but it will also lift you. It will remind you who you really are when the world tries to make you forget. So stop worshiping the problem. Stop rehearsing the trauma. Start chasing what sets your soul on fire. Start living like you were built for something greater than suffering. And when doubt creeps in again, and it will, you look it in the face and say, I've got work to do. I've got a mission. I've got a reason that cannot be broken by temporary pain. You are not here to be consumed by what hurts. You are here to create something that lasts beyond the hurt, to rise so powerfully that even your pain becomes proof that you were unstoppable. Shift your focus and you shift your future. Look up, look forward, look within. Your purpose is waiting for you to stop looking back. Guard your environment ruthlessly. Because what surrounds you shapes you. The people, the voices, the energy you allow into your space, they're either building you or breaking you. There is no neutral influence. If you're not paying attention, if you're not filtering what gets access to your mind, you're handing over control of your destiny without even realizing it. Your environment is the silent architect of your future. It determines your focus, your drive, your standards. If you surround yourself with doubt, you'll think small. If you surround yourself with weakness, you'll act fragile. But when your environment breathes belief, power, and discipline, you rise into the version of yourself you were born to become. Most people are too passive about their surroundings. They tolerate energy that drains them. They entertain conversations that lead nowhere. They give time to people who don't value growth. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why their progress stalls, why they wake up uninspired. But the truth is, your life reflects what you've allowed around you. You cannot soar while tethered to dead weight. You cannot think like a winner while drowning in the noise of mediocrity. You must take control of your space like your future depends on it, because it does. Every seed needs the right soil to grow. You are no different. You can have all the talent, all the vision, all the work ethic in the world, but if you plant yourself in toxic ground, You will never rise to your full potential. You will fight battles you were never meant to fight. You'll waste time recovering from energy that should have never touched you in the first place. That's why the greatest move you can make is to become ruthless about who and what has access to you. This isn't about ego. This is about elevation. You don't have time for gossip, drama, or low expectations. You don't have space for people who laugh at your goals or shrink when you speak big dreams. You need to be around fire, around hunger, around people who hold you accountable to your potential, not your comfort. Because when the atmosphere is strong, you grow without even trying. And when it's weak, you fight invisible forces every day just to stay afloat. That's the reality. And it's your responsibility to protect your atmosphere. The standards you tolerate become the standards you live. If the people around you constantly settle, eventually you will too. If they normalize quitting, you will start to question your own persistence. If they speak fear, it will bleed into your thoughts. But if your circle breathes discipline, if they walk with intensity, if they grind like their life depends on it, you will feel that. You will catch that fire. You will raise your bar, not because someone told you to, but because your environment made it impossible to stay average. And guarding your environment doesn't just mean the people. It's what you watch, what you listen to, what you read, what you allow into your mental diet. Every word, every image, every sound is either fueling your belief or feeding your doubt. You cannot binge garbage and expect clarity. You cannot entertain negativity and expect confidence. What you consume becomes what you think. What you think becomes what you do. And what you do becomes your life. So ask yourself, is your environment reinforcing the future you want or the one you fear? You must become intentional about every inch of your atmosphere. Audit it like a fortress. Cut out the noise. Eliminate the distractions. Build walls around your focus and only open the gates for energy that aligns with your mission. This level of discipline is rare, but it's the difference between average and unstoppable. Most people won't understand your boundaries. They'll call it extreme. They'll say you've changed. And they'll be right. Because the version of you that reaches greatness doesn't look like the one that was okay with just getting by. When you guard your environment, you give your potential room to breathe. You begin to think clearer, move faster, and execute sharper. You start attracting opportunities, people, and breakthroughs that match your frequency. Because now you've elevated. Now you've separated yourself from the noise. And with that comes clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you want, and what it's going to take to get there. That clarity becomes your weapon. Your focus becomes your edge. And your environment becomes the launch pad. You are the product of what you allow. If you surround yourself with excellence, you will rise. If you surround yourself with excuses, you will sink. That's not a theory, that's a fact. Success is not just about internal drive. It's also about external alignment. You cannot grow in chaos. You cannot think big in a small circle. You cannot build greatness in a space that tolerates less than everything you've got. So take inventory, get honest, and then act without hesitation. Because your next level is waiting, but it cannot thrive in the old environment. Be ruthless with your space, not emotional, not apologetic, ruthless. You are building something that demands your best. You don't owe comfort to anyone who poisons your progress. You owe your mission everything. Protect your focus, defend your peace, and walk like someone who understands that every inch of your environment is either pulling you forward or holding you back. Make the choice that aligns with your future. And never, ever forget, you become what you surround yourself with. Choose wisely, act when you feel paralyzed. That's the very moment you must move. That's the exact second the breakthrough begins. Because paralysis is not the absence of ability, it's the presence of fear, pressure, and doubt. It's your mind trying to convince you that standing still is safer than stepping forward. But safety is not progress. Silence is not clarity. Waiting is not wisdom. The longer you hesitate, the deeper the fear roots itself. And the only antidote to that fear is action. Immediate, imperfect, defiant action that shouts back at every thought telling you to wait for the perfect moment. The truth is, the perfect moment never comes. There will never be a time when everything aligns exactly the way you want. There will never be total confidence before the leap. You earn that confidence by moving while scared. You build that strength by doing what feels impossible. The most powerful people in the world don't act because they're fearless. They act despite the fear. They understand that progress doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards action. Even messy, uncertain, shaky action. Especially that kind you can't think your way out of paralysis. You can't overanalyze your way into clarity. The longer you stay stuck in your mind, the heavier it gets. Thoughts start looping. Doubts get louder. You begin rehearsing every reason why you should wait, why you should stop, why you're not ready. But readiness isn't a prerequisite, it's a byproduct. You become ready by stepping into motion. Motion creates momentum. Momentum silences fear, and fear cannot survive in the presence of decisive action. You don't need to take massive steps, just move. Inch by inch if you must, but move. Action breaks the pattern. It interrupts the fear loop. It signals to your mind that you're in charge now. Not the anxiety, not the pressure, not the stories that have been running on repeat for years. You, the one who knows that there's more inside you than hesitation. The one who refuses to let discomfort become destiny. That version of you only shows up when you move anyway. It's in those paralyzed moments that most people quit. They wait for a feeling that never comes. They wait to feel better, to feel more aligned, more inspired. But those feelings are earned by motion, not the other way around. Sitting in paralysis hoping for motivation is like sitting in the cold hoping for fire. You have to strike first. You have to create the spark. And once you move, even slightly, your mind starts shifting. Your body responds. Your energy rises. That is where the internal fire begins to grow. You were not built to stall. You were not designed to pause every time life gets heavy. You were made to move through it. That's how you rewire yourself. That's how you build a different identity. Every time you act when you feel frozen, you're telling your nervous system a new story. You're saying, I don't retreat under pressure. I advance. And eventually that story becomes your truth. You no longer hesitate because now you identify as someone who acts. Someone who gets things done even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, the longer you stay still, the more you lose. Not just time, you lose belief. You lose self-respect. You begin to doubt your own strength. And that doubt becomes a habit, a pattern, a cage. But action breaks the cage. Even the smallest move shatters the illusion that you're stuck. You're not stuck, you're stalled. And stalling is a choice. The key is to make a new choice, right now. No matter how small, choose motion, choose courage. Choose life. The voice in your head telling you to wait is not your ally. It's a liar dressed as logic. It's fear trying to wear the mask of reason. You've got to recognize it for what it is, a distraction. You don't need to feel certain. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to feel done with staying still, done with overthinking, done with playing small. That decision, the decision to act in the face of paralysis, is the first domino. Knock it down and everything starts to move. Real growth lives on the other side of that moment when you don't want to move. That's the barrier most never cross. But if you push through, if you take even one small action, you begin to build the identity of a person who refuses to be ruled by hesitation, a person who shows up when it's hardest. That's the edge. That's the advantage. Because while others freeze, you move. While others think, you do. And that alone separates you from the pack, so don't wait for permission. Don't wait for calm. Don't wait for perfect. Move now. Decide now. Start now. You are not paralyzed. You are powerful. And every time you choose action over hesitation, you become more of the force you were meant to be. Your next level isn't found in more thinking. It's found in more doing. One step, one action, one decision that says, I'm not staying stuck. That's how everything begins to change. And that's how you reclaim the power that's been yours all along. Speak victory before it arrives. Speak it when there's no evidence. Speak it when the world laughs. Speak it when your bank account is empty, when the odds are against you, when every voice says it's over, because your words are the architects of your reality. What you declare in the dark determines what you manifest in the light. You don't wait for proof to believe. You create the proof by believing first. Speak it when it's hard. Speak it when it hurts. Speak it when it feels like a lie. Because the power isn't in what is, the power is in what you decide will be. There is no victory without vision, and vision is blind without voice. Your voice gives shape to the invisible. It draws the future closer with every word of conviction. The world responds to those who speak with certainty in uncertain times. It shifts for those who declare the win while still bleeding from the fight. Your words are not just noise, they are blueprints. And every time you speak strength, hope, faith, and triumph into a moment that feels like defeat, you are rewriting the outcome before it arrives. Most people wait to believe until it's obvious. They wait until the results show up, until the applause comes, until someone else validates them. That's not faith, that's observation. That's not leadership, that's reaction. Victory begins in silence, in solitude, in moments no one else sees. It starts when you look in the mirror with nothing but struggle in your hands and still say, I'm winning anyway. Because you're not reacting to the present. You're speaking into the future. And the future bends to the words of those bold enough to speak before the arrival. Every champion you admire once had nothing but a declaration, no stage, no support, no guarantees. Just the courage to speak what they were becoming. And what separates them from the rest isn't talent, it's not luck. It's that they used their voice like a sword. They cut through doubt. They slashed through fear. They spoke their destiny out loud until it became law. You must do the same. Stop waiting to feel qualified. Stop waiting for proof. Speak it now. When you speak victory, your subconscious listens. It starts building toward what your mouth proclaims. Your spirit rallies. Your energy rises, and your mind starts hunting for paths, opportunities, and strategies aligned with what you declared. This is not fantasy. This is the psychology of champions. The brain follows what it hears often, and if it hears defeat, it prepares for failure. But if it hears victory, it aligns with winning. That is why your words must be intentional, bold, and future-focused. It does not matter how bleak the current moment is. What matters is how you choose to frame it. Will you call it your ending or your setup? Will you call it too hard or exactly what you needed to grow? Speak as if the result is already secured, as if the mountain has already moved, as if the door has already opened. Speak it until every cell in your body aligns with the outcome you've decided on. That's how you begin to dominate reality from the inside out. You do not need the approval of the world to speak like a winner. You do not need the applause of the crowd to walk like a champion. You need only one thing, the discipline to speak what you seek, even when you see the opposite. That kind of mental toughness makes you untouchable, because it means you've stopped looking to the outside to determine what's possible. You've anchored your belief so deep inside that nothing external can shake it. When obstacles show up, you don't fold. You speak louder. When doubt knocks, you don't invite it in. You speak vision until it walks away. When fear whispers, you drown it out with declarations of victory. Your voice is your weapon, your command center, your first strike. And when it is used with purpose, there is nothing more powerful. Speak breakthrough. Speak strength. Speak that you're already walking in the life you've earned. Even when you haven't stepped into it yet, the key is consistency. You don't speak victory once, you speak it daily. You affirm it when it's quiet. You declare it when it's storming. You remind yourself who you are until the world has no choice but to agree. Because repetition builds reality. Not overnight, not instantly, but inevitably. And if you stay committed, your words will carry you across valleys that would crush other people. They will keep your fire lit when everything tries to blow it out. They will pull you forward when your strength runs out. This is not just positive thinking. This is strategic warfare. Life responds to the frequency of your voice. And when that frequency vibrates with certainty, with passion, with expectation, it activates doors you didn't even know existed. But those doors don't open to silence. They open to boldness, to faith, to the sound of a soul that refuses to stay small. A soul that speaks the future into the present, that sees the outcome before it's real, that walks like the victory already happened. So speak it. Speak it even if your knees shake. Speak it even if they laugh. Speak it until you believe it. Speak it until you see it. Speak it until your reality has no choice but to catch up to the vision you planted with your words. Victory does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who speak. Speak like the storm is already over. Speak like the crown is already yours. Speak like you were born to win, because you were used setbacks as signals, not stops. When life throws you to the ground, it's not ending your story. It's marking the beginning of your evolution. Setbacks are not your enemy. They are coded messages from your future self saying, you're close, adjust, shift, rise. Most people see failure as a full stop, but those who win treat it as feedback, as redirection, as a divine push toward better alignment. A setback is a mirror. It reflects not that you're weak, but that you're being forged. Champions are not those who never fall. They are those who interpret the fall differently. While others panic, they pause and decode. While others quit, they lean in. A setback is a test in disguise. It checks your belief. It examines your hunger. It exposes whether your desire was conditional or unshakable. And the moment you learn to use it, not fear it, you step into an elite class of people who cannot be stopped by temporary defeat every time you're hit with a setback. You have two options. You can collapse under it, or you can collect wisdom from it. The choice is yours. But know this, if you stop, if you retreat, if you walk away the moment the path gets rough, you were never truly committed. Because real commitment isn't measured by how you act when it's easy. It's proven by how you respond when everything feels like it's falling apart. That's the fire. That's the proving ground. That's where destiny is forged. You've got to train yourself to see obstacles as messages, not punishments. That loss, it's revealing a blind spot. That delay, it's protecting you from a misstep. That rejection, it's pushing you to level up before you step into the room you prayed for. Life isn't working against you. It's working through you, but only if you stay awake enough to read the signals. Most people are too emotional to see clearly. They take setbacks personally instead of strategically. Don't do that. Stay sharp. Stay aware. Stay dangerous. Look back at every major growth spurt in your life. It didn't happen in the middle of comfort. It happened after you got hit, doubted yourself, and chose to fight anyway. That's not coincidence. That's how transformation works. Pressure breaks the surface. Setbacks strip away what's not essential. They force focus. They eliminate fluff. They make your next move crystal clear. If you're feeling broken right now, good. That means the breakthrough is near. But only if you refuse to stay down. There is no strength without strain, no clarity without confusion, no momentum without resistance. So when you encounter a setback, don't just survive it, study it. Ask, what is this teaching me? Where is this guiding me? What belief system is this trying to upgrade? Because the lesson is always there. And if you find it, you accelerate. You move forward faster, lighter, wiser. But if you ignore it, you repeat it. Again and again until the message sinks in. The ones who rise are not the most talented. They're the most resilient. They're the ones who decided early on that failure would never be final. They use every setback to sharpen their edge, to deepen their discipline, to reinforce their identity. So when the world pushes against them, they don't break, they bounce. They adapt. They redirect their force and come back harder. You can do the same. You're not here to crumble. You're here to conquer. And sometimes the signal in the setback is even more powerful than the goal itself. Sometimes it's showing you a bigger dream, a deeper purpose, a higher standard. You wanted success, but this setback is pushing you toward significance. You wanted validation, but this loss is forcing you to validate yourself. That's not a curse, that's a calling. Listen to it, rise with it. Let it mold you into someone who doesn't just want the win, but deserves the win. The mindset is simple, nothing is wasted. Not the tears, not the delays, not the failures. Every ounce of pain is being recycled into wisdom. But only if you stay in the game long enough to apply it. That's why you cannot stop. Not now. Not here. You've come too far to make a U-turn at the first sign of struggle. You've got to keep showing up, keep pushing, keep listening for the signal behind the setback, because it's there. Always when you expect resistance, it stops surprising you. When you prepare for setbacks, they stop paralyzing you. And when you leverage them, they start empowering you. That's the shift. That's what separates warriors from wishers. Setbacks don't shrink you unless you let them. They shape you if you use them, so use them. Let every loss deepen your hunger. Let every delay build your patience. Let every rejection amplify your grit. You are not here to be delicate. You are not here to be thrown off by every challenge. You are here to dominate. And domination requires friction. It requires fire. It requires moments that feel like the end but are secretly the beginning. If you learn to see every setback as a stepping stone, nothing can stop you. Not time, not failure, not fear. Because now you're reading the signals. And when you do that, you're no longer reacting to life. You're rising above it. Keep moving. Keep building. You're closer than you think. Burn the option to quit. Rip it out from your mind. Erase it from your vocabulary. Destroy every exit you built for yourself in case things got hard. Because as long as quitting is an option, your commitment is divided. As long as quitting exists in your reality, so does failure. And if you're serious about rising, about conquering, about unlocking the life that belongs to you, then you must shut the door on retreat and set it on fire. No escape, no plan B, only forward quitting is a luxury for the average. It's a habit for the weak. It's a reflex for those who never decided who they are. But you're not here for average. You're not here to flirt with greatness. You're here to marry it. And that means commitment without compromise. That means when the pain hits, you don't flinch. When doubt creeps in, you don't negotiate. When nothing seems to be working, you don't pull back, you double down. Because if you always keep the option to quit, you'll never discover how far you could have gone if you didn't. You must reach a point where quitting becomes more painful than pushing through. You must train your mind to associate quitting with betrayal, not of others, but of yourself. Every time you quit, a piece of your belief dies. Every time you retreat, your confidence shrinks. And over time, that habit hardens. You begin to expect failure. You begin to assume weakness. You begin to accept less than what you were built for. But if you burn the option to quit, you burn the bridge to regret. Most people don't fail because they weren't capable. They fail because they gave themselves a back door. They told themselves, I'll try, and if it gets too hard, I'll walk away. And then it got hard, as it always does, and they kept their word to weakness. But the elite don't try. They decide. They commit. They eliminate alternatives. That's how they win. Not because the path was easier, but because they refuse to entertain the thought of leaving at the moment you take quitting off the table. Your power multiplies. Your energy sharpens. Your mind stops wandering and starts creating. When quitting is no longer an option, the only question left is how you'll overcome, not if. That shift changes everything. It forces your brain to find answers instead of excuses. It pushes your body to go one more rep, one more call, one more day. That pressure molds you into someone unstoppable. Not because you're fearless, but because you're all in. You need to make a decision so strong that your old self doesn't survive it. A decision that says, I don't care how long this takes. I don't care how much it hurts. I don't care how many times I fall. I'm finishing what I started. That kind of resolve isn't natural, it's forged. It's trained. It's earned in moments when giving up would have been easier, when walking away would have made sense. But something in you said no, that refusal to quit is your rebirth. It's the line you draw that turns pain into progress, that turns doubt into discipline. Because quitting doesn't just end the pursuit. It ends the process that would have changed you. And if you quit enough times, you forget what you're even capable of. But if you persist long enough, you begin to remember who you were before fear taught you to run. You begin to realize that you were never weak. You were just untested. Burning the option to quit doesn't mean you never fall. It means you never stay down. It means that no matter how many times life hits you, you rise again. And every time you do, you become more dangerous, more focused, more unshakable. Eventually, you become someone who doesn't break under pressure. You become someone who creates pressure. Someone who commands results because they've removed all exits, all excuses, all escape routes. Look at anyone who has ever achieved greatness, and you'll see a graveyard of moments they could have quit but didn't. They were broke. They were laughed at. They were doubted. They were tired. And they kept going. That's the difference. Not brilliance, not luck, but endurance. Ruthless, relentless, unreasonable endurance. And that only exists when quitting is no longer on the table. So whatever you're facing now, whatever resistance, whatever delay, whatever fear, decide that you will go through it, no matter how long it takes, no matter how uncomfortable it becomes. Decide that you'll die on this hill if you have to, because the life waiting for you on the other side is worth more than any temporary discomfort. That's how warriors think. That's how empires are built. That's how lives are changed. Burn the option to quit. Burn the bridge to your old self. Burn the story that says you're not enough. And from those ashes rises the version of you that was always there, waiting for the moment you finally stopped running, stopped hiding, stopped hesitating, the version of you that was born to finish what others fear to start. Let that fire guide you. Let it fuel you. And let it remind you that once the option to quit is gone, all that remains is victory. So now you stand at the edge, no more exits behind you, no more excuses to lean on, no more stories to shield you from the truth of your own power. The option to quit is gone, burned, buried, erased, and what's left is the raw, unshakable force of a mind made up, a soul that won't fold, a fire that refuses to go out. You were never meant to dabble in greatness. You were built to dominate. And now that there's no way back, the only direction left is forward. Through every wall, through every storm, through every voice that said you couldn't. Because when quitting dies, the real you is finally born. And from this moment forward, there is no turning around, only rising, only winning, only becoming everything you were always meant to be.